So every year in my classroom, I get some ornaments for my students, and Eliana always makes the first example one, and I paint her fingers and I put them on, and then I turn them into snowmen. And this snowman is from one of my students whose snowmen are a little bit bigger than the other ones because he is actually 12 and in my kindergarten classroom because he is having his first Christmas ever this year because in spring 2015 his family adopted him from an orphanage in the Ukraine, and it was one of those orphanages where they fed him, he went to sleep, he didn't even know Russian or anything like that, but he's living with his family in the States now and he's learning. He goes to 4th grade for interaction with his peers, but in the classroom he's learning how to read, and he's started sounding out words and doing addition, and he's doing such a fabulous job. So that's my tradition for my kiddos, to turn all of their fingers into snowmen because that's the only way that they can have it here in Florida.
Holiday tradition. What we've been doing for the past few years is, we put up our tree, which we like. We, decorate it, et cetera, et cetera. But we have a hammer of Thor, which we put at the very top. And luckily, it looks like a cross, sort of. A Celtic cross. A very old Celtic cross. And that'll work out just fine because it answers, the question for most people.
My holiday tradition is Christmas. My favorite holiday is Christmas. One of my favorite holidays is Christmas. And my tradition that I do is I give gifts and spend time with people.
I like when Miss Joy does that big bonfire thing every Yule. That's pretty cool.
This one time, we got a duck.
So, my family tradition for Christmas is exhausting. It goes on for ages. How it works is you have a finder and a postman for opening presents. So the finder, you go in order, one at a time, to go through presents from the oldest person in the room to the youngest person in the room. The finder finds a present for the appropriate person. Let's say we start with my grandfather. So the finder finds a present for Papa and then reads the tag out loud, gives it to the postman. The postman then delivers it to my grandfather and then he can open it after mulling about the clue, because it is imperative that we all write our tags as cryptic riddles or clues, and people go, oh, and shake the box and poke at it and think and question what it is, and the children are sitting there going, open it, open it, open it, open it. It has in the past taken us a record 5 hours to open the presents on Christmas morning.
So growing up, I grew up in a blended family, father's side Jewish, mother's side Christian. So I celebrated both Hanukkah and Christmas during the holiday season. We would obviously do Hanukkah with the menorah at my house, and traditionally, since my mother's side of the family lived very close, we would go over to her mother and father, my grandparents' house for Christmas, where that extended family would come, and we'd have a good time, and there'd be a Christmas tree and presents for the kids, and I have fond memories of that.
We never send out a Christmas card.
So our family tradition is that we usually do something very charitable every Christmas Eve, and I think that began when we first moved to Fort Myers. So we started doing that, and I just really love the tradition because it makes me feel happy that I'm doing something good for other people.
All we do on Christmas Day is unwrap things.
We turn off all the lights in the house, close all of the curtains, and we gather around the table. And I tell a story of what it must have been like for our ancestors in the middle of the cold, dark winter. And I talk about how they were probably low on supplies. They may have had to bring farm animals in there with them, and it was the entire family, multiple generations huddled together. And on the shortest day of the year, they would all sit together and tell stories. And then the first ray of sunlight would touch the snow. And they would know that that first ray represented the rebirth of the sun. And the days would get longer and longer, and they would get warmer and warmer, and soon they could plant, and soon they would have new food to eat. They could go outdoors. So at the end of the story, I light the candle and we all cheer. But the story remains, and I think it's a great way to remember what might have been and to think about how that symbol might affect us now and make room for new ways to be in tune with the rhythm of nature and allow it to be a source of hope in dark days.
I think this year we'll start a new holiday tradition of watching Star Wars, the original version, where Han shoots first. I don't know what that has to do with the holidays, it's just we have time to do it. So.
My holiday tradition begins with my grandparents. They used to travel to see all of their grandchildren that were spread out across the country because my grandfather was in the Air Force. They would bring a tiny little tree that was pre-strung with lights and had these really tiny little ornaments. And it lived in a plastic bag, and wherever they got, and they were on Christmas, they would put the tree up. And it was about this big. And when both my grandparents passed away, I inherited their Christmas tree and ornaments. And now the ornaments live on my tree, and it's lots of fun putting them up every year.
From the time that I was a baby, every year at Christmas, my parents would give an ornament for each member of the family, and the ornaments have a date on them. And I have ornaments from all the way back when I was born. Another tradition, which is much newer, is a tradition that I started when I lived in Hartford, Connecticut, as the only Southerner within a 100-mile radius, and people did not even understand what the word y'all meant. So my first year there, nobody knew about Southern New Year's Day traditions of collard greens and black-eyed peas and skillet cornbread. So I invited a couple of friends over for New Year's Day and introduced them to all these wonderful Southern foods. And we had such a good time that we just decided to do it again the next year, and then a few more people came. And then the third year rolled around and I was still up there, and we decided to do it again, and some more people came. And then on the fourth year, all of a sudden we realized we had a tradition. And so that was way back in 2003, I think, and every year I do that. Even though I'm back now south of the Mason-Dixon line, we still do that tradition because it is a great way to start off the new year with friends and loved ones all around you on the first day of the new year.
We do what other people do.
You say you're going to make me look beautiful, we're going to be here a long time.
That's the editing. I will make you sound good, okay?
Ooh, we're going to be here slightly less than